once I was a crusader for the Divine Order. I pledged my life to Lucian the Divine. But the war changed everything. He sent me to save the elves I grew up amongst. I arrived too late. Lucian ordered the use of death fog against the Black Ring, annihilating everyone I once knew in the process. Now I'm a mercenary killer, one of the infamous Lone Wolves. And my next target is none other than Lucian's own son.
It all happened like I knew it would. A single drop of source magic. And, like flies to honey, the monsters swarmed. The rebel panicked. The carnage began. And the Magisters pointed their fingers at me. Just as I'd planned. I was shackled and collared and sent to Fort Joy. I'd come here to kill Godwoken. But instead I became part of their story.
Things I do to complete a contract. Nice haircut, Smiley.
So we are Ifan, here to kill Lucian. We have too long presumed Source as a virtuous part of civil society. Yet we need look no further into the past than the Source King's reign to understand the havoc such magics may wreak. One day, another order must follow in the Source Hunter's footsteps. Sorcerers must be muted. The new model of Source Collars provided by Vridamon is proving most effective.
You're up. Yes. Looks like that collar fits you snugly enough. Nice bit of work, even if I do say so myself. There. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters. Why, for my peace of mind, of course. Why don't you try casting one of those source spells of yours? See what happens.
Currents of magic surge inside you, boiling, bursting, then breaking, only to fade back into your soul like rain into the earth.
My, look at the concentration on your face. All will, but no result. There you have it, see? The collar's function. It neuters you, of sorts. Makes you unable to cast source. For your own peace of mind, of course. Yours and the whole world's. The good ship Merryweather. But you can stand at ease there, Private. You do realize you're not in any army here, don't you?
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutinizing gander.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit too generous with that sedative. Oh well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route to Fort Joy. A new life awaits. And if you're a particularly good boy, perhaps a cure as well. An end to Source. For good.
No marks, no indications of a struggle. Yes, this is a rare kind of magic. I'll need to write to headquarters right away. No known associates. In fact, he seemed quite averse to spending time with the others. But who? Seems as though there's a pattern in the blood flow. That can't be natural.
Bloody murder. Looks like someone's hit the Hall of Echoes a little early.
But who?
A young magister stands pale and silent. Her knuckles whiten around her weapon as you pass.
Oh, everything's spick and span. Nothing left to do, really.
Behind the magister, a bloodied mass lies in a heap. Gore and limbs lie at odd angles. You can't make out a face amid the mess.
Nothing to see here.
Seems as though there's a pattern in the blood flow. That can't be natural. Ugly sight, isn't it? Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no Voidwalker followed the source that did this.
She looks up at you with a mirthless smile.
I was on duty in your room when the murder happened. You were asleep the whole time. Didn't even stir. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Unless you can commit murder in your sleep, of course. Finn was killed by Source. If a Magister could do that, there wouldn't be a Magister. It looks more like a passenger managed to slip their collar. And the rest, well, you see the evidence in front of you. Listen, I could use someone to keep their ears open among the passengers. Sometimes they clam up in front of a uniform. Bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. How about that? Not in here, it isn't. You let me know if you hear anything. No lesions, no trauma. He was bled by magic.
The hatch is blocked. I'll need to find another way.
That's enough now.
The Adventures of Buckethead.
An elf sits tucked away in a dark spot, lazily rolling dice onto the surface of a barrel. They sound like the dry cackling of an old witch.
Snake eyes.
She chuckles.
I bet that's just what they'll look like.
She shakes her head.
Game for one, I'm afraid. Rolling dice. Deciding fates. Don't worry, honey. It isn't yours.
She looks you up and down with the merest hint of a coy smile on her lips.
Never say never, though.
She eyes you quite seriously.
Not the future, no. But I can read the past in flesh. One of the perks of being an elf, you see. I'm quite good at it, too. I could lick your arm and tell you how you spent the night before last. Shall I?
She gives your arm a vigorous stroke of the tongue, efficient like a cat grooming.
You were in a cellar with other sorcerers. As everyone lay sleeping, it seems you and another elf engaged in an action somewhat similar to the one I just performed. Only rather more vigorously. Of course it is. The truth's right there, skin deep. But don't you worry, darling. Your secret's safe with me. I don't lick and tell.
Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
Nice.
One of us. So one by one.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up? Mad? Insufferable? Surely. I'll tell you if you keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I can.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magister's more concern than your appetite.
You get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
I'm trying to concentrate.
with those bolts trained on her, and if she tries to run, I'll shoot to kill.
I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
What on earth is the matter? There's nothing else I can make, Your
They're both
Majesty.
foul.
Turnips and water
Strong
are
suspect
all
you
I
know
was
all
given.
about it.
Unacceptable.
Well,
I've never dined on anything less than a dozen course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Majesty's more concerned than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
Keep with those bolts trained on her, and if she tries to run, shoot to kill.
I'm trying to concentrate.
You seem on edge, officer. What on earth is the matter?
I'll give you that knuckle if you
The
can
Magister
carry it.
starts, recognition growing on his face as he looks right at you.
You look just like...
The Magister's face turns white. He makes a move to step backwards, then stops himself as his hand closes on the weapon at his hip.
It is you. Ifan Ben Mesd. I remember you. You were my captain's commander way back in the war.
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
The Magister's eyes darken. His face closes over into a cold mask.
I always knew you'd end up down low. Lower even than us nobodies in the rank and file. The higher the climb, the louder the splat when you fall. In Fort Joy, you're about to fall further than you thought possible. And I'll be listening for the splat. Happy landing.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder, Your Majesty. Maybe that has the Magister's more concern than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
A broad dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard is a cascade of meticulous plaits, each one braided through with golden medallions. He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open his eyes.
Listen up, boy. You hear that? The ship, of course.
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
And?
The fellow cocks his ear, listening.
That isn't anger, it's
He cocks his ear to the other side, then smiles.
anticipation. She senses something. I'd hold on to my breeches if I were you, mate. That's all you hear, though. Listen close. There now, just like that.
How dare you classify this slop as food?
Aha!
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back, the other catches you before you lose your footing.
There. You heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, boy. Good news.
And I don't intend to do away with the custom.
It's the wheel. Don't you see, you beautiful idiot? Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means we're heading east. Burn my beard. That means if we've been traveling for, yes, only 10.34 nautical miles to Fort Joy.
You, Jill, is that right? I've a few questions for
Captain, actually. And that figure tells me we're getting close to the joy. Close to what lies beyond it, too.
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all. Thank you kindly, boy.
Coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty.
He continues stroking his beard, a beatific
Unacceptable. I've never
If
dined
you'll
on
be
anything.
pardoning me, I'll be much...
You one of them? A divine order loyal? They killed a sorcerer, you know. They'll hide the evidence well enough, but make no mistake.
Maybe it has the Magister's more concern than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
It was one of them. I know it.
Would you put a knuckle in it? I'm trying to concentrate.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep
I wasn't doing anything! I swear!
Picking us off one by one.
Do you know Losa? She's a really good singer. I'm better though. Listen. La 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 la.
Why won't you sing? You look like my daddy. His name is Frida. He's waiting for me at home.
I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague.
Ah, there you are. Husband. Would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not-at-all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this Losa woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly allergical. How very correct you are, spouse of mine. Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb refuses to be confused with anyone else. What? What's so funny?
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her with a laugh.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we?
One of us will kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
We just skipped to the part when I reassure you and you shut up.
You think me mad?
Mad?
Like yourself, maybe. I don't mind the kiddies, usually. Thanks, but I already belong to an elite and exclusive ship gang. We play ball every day after lunch. You're too soft for it. You take care, though. Nope, trying not to find anything out either. Ignorance is bliss. The utterer, the better.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run down her face, and her mouth tightens into a cruel sneer. As quickly as they came, the clouds clear. She smiles as though no change came over her.
Good luck, Chief.
Name?
The Divine Order wants to know. Not so fast. Name? Well, you aren't here on my list. Scrammy. We're trying to catch a killer here.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up?
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots and rotten tubers, too. Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind this very wall. The indignity.
Well, well. What have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size you up, shall we? See if you'll do.
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
There's some discoloration, but I've seen worse. After all, one can't expect to find prime merchandise on a squalid little ship like this. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook? Ah, music to my beleaguered stomach. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor? Yes, I can tell from your vagabond chic, a bag is as good as a shirt kind of style. I shouldn't be getting my hopes up. On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after. The very basics, then. I suppose that's a start. So, 3 questions asked, 3 questions... As per your own testimony, you can cook and groom, but you have the fashion sense of a monkey in a clown suit. Still, beggars can't be choosers. So without further ado, I offer you my sincerest congratulations. As of now, you are my slave. Of course you accept. Mine wasn't an offer. Anyway, you may leave me for a moment. We'll go over your duty. When I want you to attend me, I'll whistle. Until then, go stand in a discreet corner.
Insufferable, surely.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to listen.
The elf is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia. He looks up, his big round eyes scanning your body, absorbing every detail. He reaches out and takes your hand, turning it this way and that, examining it from every angle. Finally, he pinches your skin, gently tugging at it.
Fascinating.
He sits back and returns to his book, flicking quickly from page to page, completely oblivious to your presence.
And I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Well, there has been a murder.
Oh no, my instinct to survive is quite strong, as with all mortals. I'm not sure why you would... Oh dear, I seem to have crossed some cultural taboo. How difficult. You have my apologies, human. Perhaps I should demand the same from those red-cloaked humans. They laid their hands on me more than once. I do not believe I've been drawn anywhere. It is a quaint little read, but it has its faults. It is simultaneously too detailed and insufficient. I know the beginning of this tale and the end, but I am rather missing the middle. Tell me, what do you know of our world's history? Oh, please. I have no interest in that. No. I want to know about the Celestial. I want to know about your gods. This text tells me that they created all creatures, but nothing of what came before. Where did these gods come from? Who are their people? Where are the others of their kind?
The elf's face freezes for just a second before...
Oh, it's just one of my idle curiosities. We mortals do like to consider these things, do we not? Now, please, run along. I have a world to decipher.
No amount of pestering will get the elf to take his eyes off his book or respond to your questions.
Do you mind? I'm really...
It's a register, sir. Good, good. Magister Williams is just about done with the last Ifan okay so far.
He tugs the collar of his uniform and chuckles.
Sorry you're upset, sir, but we all wear what we wear for a reason. You head on in now. Williams will get you sorted fast.
clearly don't know the first thing about swords.
Keep those bolts trained on her, and if she tries to run, shoot to kill.
Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, sorcerer, go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
It means your journey draws to a close. Do stick around for its finale, though, because...
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts source, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
What's happened?
What happened? Must have been the turnips. You dare...
The lizard's eyes close as he slips into unconsciousness.
No, not the final dark. Not yet.
It's no use. Your words...
The dice roll darkly. They're rolling for me.
The elf lies motionless. The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor, his great beard twisted and tangled around him. He is stock still. You can't see if he's living or dead. You hear a faint thud, thud, thud. The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor. The young woman lies in a heap on the floor. She's breathing normally, but her eyes are wide open, like those of a corpse.
Nice haircut, Smiley.
The Magister lies on the floor, unconscious and bleeding from a dire-looking wound. The Magister lies on the floor.
The hatch is blocked. I'll need to find another way.
Bucket Man strikes again.
Damn. That doesn't bode well. Onwards and upwards. before this thing snaps into splinters.
But a fine grace, what was...
He eyes the collar circling your neck and reaches a hand towards his blade.
Another sorcerer!
The Magister's companion doesn't blink, frozen in place at the sight of you.
Like you don't know? Mutiny! Did that witch fix your collar too?
He whispers loudly to the other Magister.
Don't just cower there, Rix! Take out your blade!
Rix grabs his sword, which shakes in the rhythm of his trembling hand. The Magisters look to each other, then back to you, and unsheath their blades with a metallic zing.
Your lies end here!
What the fuck?
Ah, Alexander. Just in case we forget who holds us captive.
Ifan.
Gods damn it. Need to get off this wreck. Quick.
hatch is blocked. I'll need to find another way.
And are suddenly face to face with an undead. His skull is bizarrely angular, and a glorious jewel sits in the middle of his forehead. The skeleton is quickly leafing through a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia, muttering to himself.
No. What damn fools record knowledge on a pulped tree? It catches fire, it turns into must when wet, it cannot even resist acid. No wonder they're so bloody ignorant.
The skeleton looks up and notices you for the first time.
Oh, it's you. Shouldn't you be running and screaming or some such?
The skeleton groans and looks back to his book.
Yes, indeed. It's the look of someone that wants to read the bloody book he's holding. Now, if you're really quite finished, I believe you have lifeboats to flee to.
The skeleton holds up his book in one quick
I am trying to discover if there is anyone worth saving, and I will be damned if I let the lives of some mayflies get in my way. Go on, go. Swim or drown or do whatever takes your fancy. Please, my time is short, although yours, I gather, is infinitely shorter.
The marking on the door was painted recently, judging from its pungent scent. You recognize the symbol immediately for what it is. A warning of death fog within. You press your palm against the door to open it. The wood feels neither cold nor warm, but simply grey. It doesn't budge. The door groans open, but an ashen shadow clouds your mind.
Death fog? I need to get out of here now. A lifeboat! That means there's still a chance! If you can walk, get yourself up the ladder. There's a... Wait! Void Woken!
I thought Void Woken was supposed to be scary.
They who are about to triumph.
These beardless bugs won't sink the ship on my watch.
We make a pretty good team.
I have plans for you, child. Rise.
Honorable Dallas, we lost a ship sailing sorcerer prisoners to Fort Joy. We assume some escaped and broke their collars. Their vile magic lured the Voidwoken. All who were aboard are presumed dead. Yours faithfully into eternity, High Judge Orivan.
So the Order's right about one thing. We attract Voidwoken. Am I the lone survivor? Only one way to find out. So, time to find this Boris fellow. Any man who put his likeness in stone is a fool in my book.
The child has a small mirror in his hands. He holds it up at angles, inspecting his eyes, his chin, the crown of his head. He spots you, and his arms snap to his sides.
I'm not supposed to talk to strangers. Why? I guess. Well, the people who put me here are human, and the people who took my parents away are human too. Or do you mean because I'm a... Are you a sorcerer? One of those guys that brings the bad void things here?
The child looks at you straight on, unafraid, searching your face. He lifts his mirror to his nose, closes one eye, and looks at himself again.
I don't see any source on you or me. I guess they're wrong, or crazy. No one cares where I go. They know I can't leave the island. It's nicer out here than inside anyway. But you didn't die. Guess I am, but it's just normal to be scared. Nowhere isn't scary. There isn't anywhere safer. That's what I mean. You'll see.
This won't be of any use. Imagine having the gall to want 100 generations gazing at your own face. Void Woken. Those are the same beasts that sank our ship. Damn. They made it to shore.
These bloody collars were supposed to keep those things at bay. The face is familiar. What's left of it? He was aboard the ship.
You spot a strange lizard gazing over the water with a steady, malcontent stare. His skin is of a bright, blood-red color. Could he be... Yes, you recognize him from the ship. It would seem you're not the only one who survived the tentacles of the deep. The lizard turns about with the graceful ease of a dancer, or a duelist. You lock eyes with his, two smouldering embers that sizzle your very soul.
I did survive, yes. And chances are I wouldn't have, had you not returned to the aid of your fellow passengers down in that dreadful hold. You have my gratitude.
Hand over heart, he salutes you with a bob of the head. More than a nod, though less than a bow.
Yes, I'm sure you've all the makings of a hero and all that, but let's not get carried away, shall we? Nevertheless, one good turn does deserve another, so as far as the whole slave business is concerned, let's just forget about it. You may as well have your freedom. Now then, if there's nothing further... If you really must know, I haven't quite decided yet. I've a frightful amount of things on my mind, hence my standing here contemplating the waves.
He sighs dramatically.
Tell me, what do you see when you cast your glance over this ocean? White. Which goes for the dry parts round here too, I imagine.
He looks out over the water once more, and so do you. A few tranquil moments pass as the waves lap against your thoughts.
As for myself, when I consider this vast expanse before us, I see an empire. I see continents dotted with mighty cities, and shimmering along the soft curve of the sea's horizon, I picture the palaces that formed my paradise. Lost. Of course, it's rather specific. Quite obviously, I'm musing over the very actual empire that I lost.
Suddenly, having all the air of being deeply offended, he stares at you with utter incredulity.
Well, don't just stand there gawking like an ape at an abacus. Or do you really mean to tell me you don't know who I am? Oh, may the Seven have mercy on their own creation. I am the Red Prince, the All-Conqueror, the World-Tamer, the spouse of the sun. Of course you know me.
There's a brief moment's pause, during which his grandiloquent pose deflates ever so slightly.
That said, I suppose I must own up to the fact that I find myself rather in between all-conquering and world-taming opportunities at the moment. The grandeur that is my fate has hit a bit of a snag. But never you worry. For the throne I was destined, and my throne I shall have. Truly. A kind offer indeed. And you've already proven to be trustworthy enough. You came back for the others on that ship, after all. Fine, I accept. On one condition. For reasons I'll not disclose right now, it is imperative that I should meet with a dreamer, one of the mystics of my kind. I've reason to believe one of them may be present on this island. Promise me we'll look for him, and I'll extend you the blessing of my company. Jolly good. So, now that that's settled, first things first. Even if you are as versed in the art of eloquence as I am, that our swords will be doing a lot of the talking from here on out goes without saying. As a born fighter, I prefer the perfection of the blade myself. But I'm well acquainted with the secrets of magic and, yes, even subterfuge. What say you? Very well. Onwards then to victory or death.
The Red Prince nods and gives you a smile that wavers ever so delicately between courtesy and contempt.
Now, as you're aware, you'll be travelling with a prince. Proper forms of address include Your Majesty, Your Royal Highness, or if you're feeling particularly frivolous, Milord. As your luck would have it, I seem to be fresh out of luggage, so you won't be required to carry my belongings. Of course, there are other forms of protocol to bear in mind, but I'll see to it you'll pick up the rest as we go. So, without further ado, let us be off.